Nearly all of my PPC campaigns lose me money, and if you do it correctly, you'll also never profit from Amazon PPC. Hey, what's up guys, Yaniv here, and obviously, as you know, the goal of any business is to be, super profitable. And if you've watched any videos here on YouTube about Amazon PPC, you know that they always talk about ACoS and having a super low ACoS. That's the goal, have a super low ACoS and be super profitable. Honestly, I used to think the same thing, and in the past year or so, I've really changed my opinion on what PPC is meant to do. And I think now that if your main goal is to bring in direct profit from PPC, I think that you're doing it wrong. And here's why. So there are actually two metrics to take into account, and most people ignore the most important one, which is actually not ACoS. But before we go into the actually most important one, talk about that, I want to explain to you why ACoS is actually not the sole metric you should be looking at in your business. To drive this point home, I'll actually give you two scenarios, and then you can choose from either of them. So the first one is that you have an account that's making 5 PPC sales per day, let's say, at a 5% ACoS. So seems pretty good. The second scenario is an Amazon account that's making 20 PPC sales per day at 35% ACoS. So one's 5%, one's 35%, but there is a difference in the amount of total sales. I think that a lot of people would say that they'd go with the first one because they found some keywords that are profitable and they're at least making some money, while the second one is actually most likely losing them money. But in reality, I would actually pick the second scenario 10 out of 10 times because of an important factor actually not considered by many people, which is TACoS, the total advertising cost of sale, not just the ACoS. So TACoS is the real metric you should be looking at, and it's, I think, the most important one. It's actually getting a little bit more popular now, but in general, what I use to calculate my TACoS and kind of keep track of that, it's a little bit more difficult than ACoS is to keep track of, but I actually use Atomic by Helium 10. I'll actually leave a link down below. Out of all the softwares that I have, I think that Helium 10 is probably the only software that I would probably consider essential at this point, and trust me, I have a lot of different softwares. So I'll leave a link to some discount codes if you want to pick it up there, and I'll also leave a playlist of Helium 10, how to use that, and then also how to use Atomic. In those videos, you also see the TACoS. I think I mentioned that a little bit there as well. So definitely go check out those videos down below and pick up Helium 10 if you need some sort of overall Amazon software, and if you want something to help you with PPC as well. Now back to TACoS. If you don't want to get Helium 10 and you just want to calculate yourself, it's pretty simple to calculate for any given period. Just take your total PPC spend and divide it by your total, combined organic and PPC sales. So for example, if in PPC and organic you made $1,000 and you spent $200 on PPC for, let's say, any given time period, you can take $200 and divide it by your $1,000, which is your combined sales, and then you'll get your your TACoS. So essentially in that case it would be a 0.2, and then you just times it by 100, so it'd give you a 20% TACoS for that given period. And once you do that, this is actually going to give you a much more important number to take into consideration, which again is the total advertising cost of sale. So as a rule of thumb, here's the goal, right? Instead of focusing on your ACoS and trying to keep that below your profit margin percentage, focus on keeping your TACoS between 10 and 20%. If it's less than 10%, you're probably leaving a lot of money on the table because you're not using enough money on ads. And there's not enough growth in your business. And if it's above 20%, then probably you're spending too much money on ads, and you really need to optimize those ads and bring those costs back down to keep it within that kind of 10 to 20% mark. You've probably heard this before, but truly the goal with PPC is not to bring in direct profits, it's to bring in organic sales, because organic sales is where you really make your profits. And the best way I can explain TACoS is really by looking at, let's say, some bigger companies out there. Now obviously I think this is a little bit simplified, but essentially, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, McDonald's, all these huge kind of brands, they're not looking for whether or not that commercial, that TV commercial or that billboard or that bus sign or whatever it is bringing in direct profits. They're looking at their TACoS, their total advertising cost of sale. How much money are they making for their whole business versus how much they're spending on ads? Because it's very hard to directly correlate how much one billboard is making you versus overall how much you're spending and how much you're bringing in. That being said, we are not Pepsi or Coca-Cola or McDonald's, right? We do need to make sure that our ads are actually remaining fairly profitable, or at least at break-even points, which is why with ACoS, my main goal with that is to keep it at between break-even, right? Whatever your break-even profit margin is, let's say if it's 30%, 30% ACoS plus 10 to 15%. So I really try to optimize in that sort of frame. I don't really want to go above that or really below that. So that does mean that if my PPC campaigns or certain keywords are below 30%, below my profit margin, what I'll actually do is I'll actually increase the bids on those keywords to bring them up to that 30 to 45% ACoS mark, because that means that I'm going to be getting a lot more organic sales. The truth is, if most people are over optimizing their campaigns to bring their ACoS below their break even, and I'm willing to spend more, I'll win the bids, get the sales, get the rank, and in turn obviously get more reviews, and then the kind of cycle continues, and I will beat almost anyone if they try to over optimize and keep their campaigns below their target ACoS, just because I'm willing to spend more in the process. In the short term, they may be more profitable, which may be what the reason they're doing it for, but in the long term, over the course of a year or 2 years, I will have much better search ranking results, and I will have a lot more reviews, and in turn that will just become like a flywheel effect that continues to push me above almost anyone that's trying to over optimize their campaigns to make direct profits through them. But I guess that's just my opinion, and that's just what I've been doing this past year or so, and it's been working really good. So let me know what you think, if you agree or not. But that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I will see you in the next one.